Recently, I decided to challenge myself and take myself to the next level of gaming, which is bordering feeling like a godlike gamer and complete darkness and absolute misery. Now, I really don't have a reason why, I just thought it sounded like a fun challenge. So, there's no better place to start than with God of War Ragnarok. However, I've never played any God of War game until now, so the mechanics are going to be brand new to me. It wouldn't matter as much, but I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, which is called Give Me God of War. And according to Santa Monica Studios, they say Give Me God of War is for those who want the game as difficult as possible, requiring godlike reflexes and strategy. Now, I guess you'll have to see how godlike my reflexes truly are. Now, before we begin, I do have to say that there's a ton of things that happen in this game, so I apologize if I skip over a few things, but never mind that though, let me show you my God of War Ragnarok journey. We begin with Kratos and Atreus coming home from hunting when all of a sudden we are attacked by Freya. If you're wondering why, well, this is why. And after getting away from Freya, we continue home and check on Fenrir. However, he's not doing so well, and as Atreus is holding him, he unfortunately dies. Atreus wants some time alone to mourn and bury Fenrir, and Kratos does what any dad would do during the day and takes a nap. During a nap, we meet Faye, Kratos' wife. Now, all I'm gonna say is Kratos is kind of a simp, but you know, I would too.
Gonna make me pick that one up? Good boy.
Kratos is awakened by Mimir yelling at him that Atreus has yet to return home. So Kratos does the responsible thing and leaves to find Atreus, and as we're looking for Atreus, we run into a bear, which turns out to be our first boss fight, and this is how it went. Oh, I couldn't dodge that. Unblockable damage. Okay. That is my fault. I have to get my shield out there. Am I stuck on it? I'm stuck. What is this? I'm getting absolutely killed right now. Oh my god, I was scared there. Oh, there we go. I could tell from fighting our first boss fight that I was going to love this game. Also, after we take down Bjorn, we discover that Bjorn is actually Atreus. Honestly, I'm shocked that Atreus is perfectly fine after this. He has to have some sort of trauma physically and mentally, although Kratos is his dad, so this just might be normal. Anyway, we do get our first trophy of the game for fighting Bjorn, called a Grisly Encounter. Now, after returning home, we hear a knock at the door only to find out that it's Thor. I guess he was there to scope the place out to make sure it's safe, because after inviting Thor inside, Odin also made an appearance. Odin proposes the deal that Kratos does not spill any more Aesir blood and for Atreus to stop looking for Tyr, and in exchange, they can keep the prisoner they stole, which is Mimir, and adds that he will also settle the debt between Freya and Kratos. However, of course Kratos says no, which leads to this.
About time.
After being manhandled by Thor and Mjolnir, we enter our first fight against Thor. However, as the fight began, I was thrown off guard because the game developers knew players would call for the axe and then added Thor saying this.
Can't fight without your axe.
Oh. Yeah, I was trying to call my axe. I totally forgot about this already. Now, just hear me out, okay? The fights with Thor weren't very hard, but let's just say I'm a little mechanically challenged in any game, at least for the first few hours, and it's definitely not a skill issue, okay? I'm making that clear. Okay, so after the fight is over, Thor does state that the blood debt is paid, which leads us to our second trophy, also ironically named Blood Debt.
Oh, no.
Blood Debt. Instead of returning to our house in Midgard, we relocate to Sindri and Brock's place since it's safe from Odin. And after settling in, we get our third trophy for upgrading one piece of armor called Spitshine. As the story progresses, Atreus assumes that Tyr, the god of war who starts Ragnarok, is somewhere trapped in a mine by Odin. Sindri suggests we talk to Durlin to figure out where Tyr could be since he knows a thing or two about mines. However, in order to talk to Durlin, we have to travel to Svartalfheim, but in order to travel to any of the realms, we sort of need Mimir's insight.
Your eyes. Oh, Cindy, you starting bastard.
Anyway, once we arrived, we did some exploration and took care of a few things in the bay before meeting Durlin. While we're in the Bay of Bounty, we helped Mimir right a wrong when we got our fourth trophy, making amends. Finishing all that we could at the bay, we finally meet Durlin. While talking with him, he states that he's no longer in the business of crossing the Allfather anymore and instead gives us a fine. And as we leave, we discover that the fine is actually a map to a mine where Tyr could be held at. We navigate through the mine and eventually we do find Tyr. However, Tyr has been held captive for a while, so obviously he has some issues. Kratos, using his convincing words, motivates Tyr to join him and Atreus and leave the mine. Now, we don't get a trophy for saving Tyr, and basically a lot happens before we get another trophy. Let me just sum it up for you as quickly as possible. After returning back to Sindri and Brock's house with Tyr, Atreus is still wanting answers and decides to talk with Jormungandr, who says, it was too good not to throw in a meme there, okay? Anyway, he says Ironwood, which isn't really helpful, so then we decide to talk to Freya. Of course, Freya, the person who tried to kill us in the beginning of the game, wasn't really in a helpful mood. We decided to then travel to Alfheim to find another shrine that could have more information about Ragnarok. Basically, the shrine says that Ironwood is the sanctuary for the giants, Ragnarok is the end of Asgard, and not confirmed, but Atreus thinks he's the people's champion. Upon returning home, Atreus naps and is teleported to Ironwood via nap magic. Now, I would skip over this next part, but since I had to experience this, you do too.
ED Single?
Perfect.
Oh god.
Hey.
Just don't.
Hey,
Killed a flower?
Oh, it's a gift.
Thanks, but you keep it.
Okay, that's enough. You get the picture. Let's fast forward to Ingerboda's grandma's house, whose name is Gryla, to free a wolf that she captured. This leads to a fight between us and Gryla with her magical cauldron. Eventually, we freed the cauldron and broke it. I do want to mention, this is probably my least favorite fight of the game. It was just super boring. Anyway, as we left Gryla's house to go back to camp, we got our 5th trophy after hours of playing called the Cauldron. Atreus is able to leave Ironwood by nat magic once again, and this time he whistles home, but he ends up in Midgard instead of Sindri and Brock's house. Atreus attempts to use the gateway to get back, but as the gateway opens, we are greeted by none other than Papa Kratos. Even though it was poor timing, I'm actually grateful Kratos appeared because we get jumped by some Hellwalkers, and then we get jumped again by a Valkyrie. But since Kratos is here, we don't have to fight as Atreus. However, we still have to fight a Valkyrie though, so yeah, there's that.
Remember us?
Not sure this is a Valkyrie we've met, lad.
How do you know?
Corporeal, but different. Looks like the bastard's finally done it.
Okay, well, I was feeling pretty confident, but of course I was due for a reality check. So about 5 attempts later, I was able to learn a moveset, and then this happened.
Okay, nice. Cutscene.
Every agony, every violation imaginable.
Atreus! You do not want this! Call your mind! Control it! She was our friend.
So yeah, the Valkyrie is actually Freya, and Atreus was about to commit a murder, but luckily Kratos is actually a good guy. Anyway, Freya then decides to talk to us and wants a temporary truce because she could use our help to free her from Midgard / the realms. We do agree to help unbind Freya from the realms, and as we were leaving to make our way toward Vanaheim, we get our 6th trophy, Backyard Brawl. While we made our way through Vanaheim, Brock gets trapped, and then we meet Freya's brother Freyr. Of course he thinks we're with Odin, but luckily Freya intervenes. After we almost get in a fight with Freyr, we cut Brock down, and he's going to stay behind at the camp because he wants to catch up.
Well, found who I was looking for. Think I'm gonna stay and catch up.
Oh, are ya now?
What do you mean by that?
Now, while Brock is busy catching up, we continue our journey and find out that Odin trapped Freya to the realms by binding her to the World Tree roots. As Freya attempts to free herself of the roots, Nidhogg or Nidhogg, whichever pronunciation is right, or if they're both wrong, I'm talking about the thing that protects the roots of the World Tree. That thing attacked us. Now, you're probably thinking from looking at this thing that it would be really hard and super annoying to fight. However, it pales in comparison to Freya's commentary throughout the whole fight.
Parry that attack!
Shut up. Like, I know what to do, Freya.
Good! Keep at it! It's still in the way! I need to get to those roots!
I know!
Can't you just chop its head off already?
That is not helpful!
Then do a
and
better
Freya are
job
gonna have problems.
distracting it!
Bad timing. No timing on that one.
Your timing's off!
Shut up, Freya.
Other than dealing with Freya yelling out how bad I was, it was actually a fun fight. Full disclosure though, it did take 25 attempts, but honestly, this is where the game started to really feel like the difficulty was give me God of War. However, I was still having a blast and every trophy I earned felt earned. Speaking of trophies, after we decapitate Nidhogg, whatever, and fully unbind Freya from the World Tree, we got our 7th trophy of the game, How It Started, for equipping an enchantment, and then right after, we got our 8th trophy, Root of the Problem, for battling Nidhogg or whatever. Also, this is slightly embarrassing, only after playing the game for 10 hours or so, I realized that we're able to purchase skills, which led to our 9th trophy called Knock Off the Rust. And honestly, me realizing it, it's kind of funny. Oh, we can just purchase these? Are you kidding me? I was over here thinking that like, we had to wait. Oh my god. This whole game, I'm like, man, I really wish I could unlock more of these. What's it gonna take? Yeah, please don't judge me. Sometimes I'm just an idiot. Anyway, after what I would consider a successful day, we return to Sindri and Brock's house to confront Atreus about why he was in Midgard. He basically just tells everyone to trust him, but it's kind of hard to do so, and for good reason, since he wants to go to Asgard so he can get close to Odin. However, of course, everyone disagrees with his plan. But Atreus, just being Atreus, already decided that he's going to Asgard. Once he returned to Midgard, he found one of Odin's ravens. Atreus tells the raven he is ready, and then he swarmed with the other ravens and then teleported to Asgard. It's kind of funny though, because Odin doesn't drop him off at like the front door or anything. Instead, he drops him in some body of water outside of Asgard, which makes him climb a very big wall where we meet everyone's favorite character. Sorry, wrong wall. Let me just introduce you to none other than Heimdall.
Hello.
All you need to know about Heimdall is that he's just an asshole. After pulling us up from the wall, he says he'll take us to see the Allfather, but instead he basically tries to kill us. Fortunately, Thor steps in and saves the day, which to be honest, he's the last person I thought would save us.
Like it or not, he's Allfather's guest.
Anyway, we meet Odin, who really is just using Atreus to find all the pieces of a mask that can look inside of a secret rift that could potentially have answers to everything and anything. To my surprise, Atreus translates where the first part of the mask is, and with Thor's help, we travel to Muspelheim and recover the first missing piece. While Atreus is in Asgard, Kratos is looking for the Nords in Midgard to ask about the future, and just to sum it up, there was basically no help at all. The entire interaction was mainly the Nords mocking Kratos and Freya.
When my son was born, shut up!
Besides just mocking Kratos and Freya, they did tell Kratos that Heimdall is planning on killing Atreus. Obviously, we knew what we had to do, and the Nords said it perfectly.
Asgard, and you will do what you do best.
Yeah, that's about right. Now, in order to kill a god who has the power of foresight, we need a god-killing weapon that will overload his senses. Luckily, Sindri and Brock have an idea to create said weapon, and that is where Draupnir comes in. Switching back to Atreus, he's able to translate another part of the mask that talk about a cold breath, and he assumes another piece is in Helheim. Instead of Thor accompanying Atreus, he's joined by Thrud, who is Thor's daughter, and Heimdall, kind of. As soon as we get to Helheim, Heimdall dips because he has his own secret mission for the Allfather.
If you run into any trouble, just scream so I know where to find your bodies.
After Heimdall left, Atreus used the mask as a compass to find the last missing piece. However, it pulls him toward a giant dog, and Atreus has the bright idea to free this giant dog who is bound in chains in Helheim. What could go wrong freeing a chained dog in Helheim? Well, at least 2 things went wrong. The last missing piece of the mask was not behind the dog, and the dog that we freed can tear holes in between realms, which obviously isn't a good thing. Maybe since chains were not enough of a deterrent, Odin should probably add a sign or something. Maybe you could say like, caution, realm-tearing dog, or at least do not touch or feed sign. Anyway, after returning from Helheim, Atreus tells Odin that he wants to go home, which I would too after that mess up, so I don't blame him. While Atreus was waiting for the gateway to open to get back to Sindri and Brock's house, Atreus says this.
Almost home. It's gonna be fine. Everything's fine.
I really don't know how he thinks everything will be fine. He released a realm-tearing dog. How is that fine? Oh, well look at that. Consequences.
It's you! Wait, it's you!
Fortunately, Freya can close the realm tear but needs help from Atreus, so we switch back as Kratos, who's protecting them from the Hellwalkers. However, due to skill issue related complications, I died. I guess it was a good death though, because whenever I came back to the land of the living, we got our 10th trophy called Spartan Weights for using Draupnir. I was confused in the moment and still confused now why I got the trophy after I died, but I guess it really doesn't matter in the end. Kratos reunites with Atreus after closing the realm tears. They realize the only way to stop more realm tears from occurring is to find Garm and, unalive him. So we travel to Helheim and find Garm, but of course he doesn't want to go down without a fight. Okay, now he may look a bit intimidating, but honestly, this fight was pretty easy. His attacks were predictable. All you had to do was just parry as much as you can and don't get bit. Easy, right? Well, sort of. I did die 5 times, but I'm not going to show you each death anyway, so enjoy the cinematic cutscene.
Alright. Alright.
Spamming X. Let's go.
I'm on it!
Off the leash. Since we took care of Garm, Kratos and Atreus decided to leave Helheim. However, as we were leaving, Garm unexpectedly came back to life and attacked us before we made it to the gate. I guess since he was in Helheim, it was basically same day delivery, so he just died and then like came back into his body. I don't really know how it works, it's just an educated guess. So instead of killing Garm again, Atreus stabs him with his knife because we learned that when Fenrir was dying, Atreus whispered his soul into his knife. And to our surprise, it works! And Garm is no longer Garm, and now he is Fenrir, so everybody wins, I guess. It's a better plan than having an endless cycle of killing Garm, so I'm here for it. After we finally leave Helheim, Kratos and Atreus travel to Vanaheim where we meet up with Freya, who needs our help freeing her brother. However, on our way toward rescuing Freya, we run into the best character of the game, Heimdall.
Completely giving away your position. What idiots.
Okay, I really hate this dude. So here's a montage of Kratos beating the shit out of Heimdall. Enjoy!
Having fun yet? Oh well, you and me then. You actually hit me. Slow down. Slow down. My turn. Slow down. Fuck! That's all this is.
Let it go, you may live.
Is this about the little runt? Oh, now I am definitely going to gut him.
This is your final warning.
I don't think a warning's going to cut it.
You think you get to just walk away? No. That is not how this works. You do not get to decide my fate!
Are you sure about that?
Brothers! This isn't who you want to be!
Kratos, that was just... I don't know if we are breaking fate, or fate's breaking us.
Muppets? Nice. After we rescued Freya's brother from the here we were back as Atreus and decided to go back to Asgard to find the last piece of the mask and to be an inside man for Team Ragnarok. Atreus admits that he mistranslated the mask and it actually says cry of first breath, which Odin states that's in Niflheim. However, before we can leave, we have to find Thor, and with Thor's help, we do find him drinking, or as Thor calls it,
Relax.
However, relaxing doesn't last very long. It actually turns into a bar fight, and I'm pretty sure one guy loses his head to Mjolnir. Oh, yeah, no, he definitely lost his head. Anyway, eventually Atreus and Thor carry Thor out of the bar to sober up before leaving to find the last piece of the mask. And honestly, finding the last piece of the mask was super easy with like no issues. It was pretty smooth sailing until we actually got the last piece of the mask. And no, it wasn't because of Odin showing up, it was because Sif showed up. Basically, she pulls a Wanda Maximoff, and Thor, who we're finally becoming friends with, or at least acquaintances, after talking to Sif, now wants to kill us. Fortunately, we use the stone Sindri gave us as an emergency exit and end up at the World Tree with Kratos waiting for us. Also, if you paid attention right before Thor tried to kill us, the developers put an Easter egg in the game. Did you see it? If not, I'll just show you.
Sin City wasn't made.
Okay, on a real note though, why did they animate his eyebrow like that? You know what, never mind, let's just get back to the story. We make it back to Sindri and Brock's house to rejoin Team Ragnarok and discuss what's next, since we have Odin's most prized possession. However, as we're discussing our plan, it's going pretty well until Brock makes a pretty good point after Tyr says he will lead us to Asgard.
I will lead us to Asgard.
Excuse me, but if you got a way to Asgard, where's that idea been this whole fucking while?
Lads! Rather a fair question, brother.
Spill it!
It's an ancient path. We can't reach it from here.
Where then?
Let me collect my things and I'll show you.
You ain't got no things. And where are you going with that map, Brock? That belongs to the kid. He earned it. All you done was make passable dirt soup.
Brock, it's okay.
No, it ain't. This ain't right. All the pieces ain't welding together true. Hey! I'm talking to you! You never shut up! Brock!
Too bad, son. Looks like war after all.
Yeah, so a plot twist I'm pretty sure no one saw coming. This whole time, not one single moment did I think Tyr could be Odin. And if you said you did, well, you're probably lying. If not, prove me wrong, let me know down in the comments. Also, on top of Brock's death, the fact that Atreus went to Asgard to get an advantage over Odin, just to find out after all this time, Odin actually had the advantage over us, it's just mind-blowing and so defeating. Fast forwarding just a bit, Kratos and Atreus are ready to start Ragnarok. However, they're missing a very important key, the fire giant, aka Surtur, who's in Muspelheim. The reason why we need Surtur is because whenever Surtur and his wife combine, they make Ragnarok. It does sound a little sus, but that's what the prophecy says. Anyway, we do find Surtur, but we instantly get rejected, and then we get jumped by not just one Soul Eater, but two Soul Eaters on top of Draugrs. After the surprise attack, we go back and attempt to talk with Surtur once again. However, Surtur states he is not willing to sacrifice Sinmara, just as Kratos wouldn't be willing to sacrifice Atreus. As we begin to leave, Surtur senses primordial fire in the Chaos Blades and believes that could turn him to Ragnarok without involving Sinmara since he has her heart. Now, since we have Surtur on board for Ragnarok, we can travel to the Spark the World to stab him in the heart with the Chaos Blades. The crazy part about all of this is the fact that this may or may not work, and just go for it. Also, if it doesn't work, we just killed a man for nothing. So after we stabbed Surtur in the heart and then he fell into the void, we were waiting for any sign of life to make sure he wasn't dead. However, while we were waiting, this happened.
Oh boy.
Odin must have sent them!
Ah, my bad. I can't see anything. It's okay.
Oh, what is that? Now, even I have to admit, it wasn't a bad attempt for my first time against two Valkyries at once. Obviously, just because I can do a few perfect parries doesn't mean that it was going to be easy. Honestly, I got my ass kicked a lot.
Alright. Oh, I didn't... When they switch is when they get me. I was rolling out of my way there. How did that hit me? No idea. Such a broken move by them. Oh, that's brutal. It's not worth it, I guess. Shit.
So hopefully you got the point. I died a lot and I didn't show you half of my deaths. 2 Valkyries are no joke and they had 3 different phases. However, on my 32nd attempt, and yes, 32nd attempt, we finally caught a break.
Out of the way!
Here we go, finally.
Get away from him!
Let's go. Yeah. Better together.
Did it work?
After our long fight with the Valkyries, we go back and we check on Surtur because at this point we don't know if he's alive. After calling for him, we get a reply saying that he is Ragnarok, so yeah, I would say he's alive and stabbing him in the heart worked. Now that we have Ragnarok, we left Muspelheim and went to Midgard to rest and prepare for the next day. If you're wondering what the next day is, well, it's Ragnarok Day. To start off Ragnarok, Kratos makes a speech to hype us up before taking us to Asgard by blowing into the Alhorn at Tyr's temple. And I don't know about you guys, but this whole entire scene had me feeling invincible, and then stepping into Asgard with everything that was happening was just insane. Now, the plan was to take down the war machines and then get past the wall. Believe it or not, taking down a war machine was super easy, because Sindri completely destroyed them all for us. And then getting through the wall was also really easy, well, you guessed it, because of Sindri once again. You know, I'm just noticing how hard Sindri carried us through Asgard. Honestly, Sindri could have probably soloed everyone there. Oh, speaking about getting soloed, Thor straight up sends Jormungandr back in time with Mjolnir, and then right after he comes right toward us.
But if I could just...
Take Atreus in the mask and do not look back.
Later.
My son trusts you, so I trust you.
Away from her! I am done with you and your son! No more fucking games!
Okay. Okay, so on a real note, it did take 17 attempts, but no more games, right? Hands down, this is one of my favorite fights in the game, maybe even top 5 best fights in the game too. However, how it ended was so unexpected.
I am your father. Take the hammer and kill who I tell you to kill.
So sleazy.
No.
I didn't want this. I did not
I hate Odin.
want this.
Yeah, so Odin killing Thor was not on my Ragnarok bingo card. If anything, Kratos killing Thor was. But with Thor out of the way, there was no one there to stop us from killing Odin, and that is exactly what we did.
So good. You've waited a long time for this, haven't you, friend? So have I.
Too late for that!
Use your arrow!
That attack really gets me, actually.
3 against 1, and
Don't forget me, old fucker! What did you call me? That one's for Brock! Look for it out!
Fireball. Perfect. Oh, I'm so glad this is over.
Finally, we were able to take Odin down, and instead of brutally killing him like he did our boy Thor, Atreus took Odin's soul and whispered into a marble for safekeeping. However, Sindri appears out of nowhere and smashes the marble with a hammer, so I guess it wasn't that safe, but neither were we because Ragnarok appeared and he drove his sword into the ground and nearly killed us. We only made it out because of Freya's sacrifice and Fenrir creating a realm tear for us to jump through. And after being pushed into the realm tear from the blast, Atreus awakes and begins to look for Kratos, and that's when we get our 14th trophy, Ragnarok, for beating Odin.
Ragnarok, there we go.
Also, I remember being so tired after this boss fight, so sorry if I don't sound happy. I swear I was happy, okay? I swear. Alright, anyway, after Atreus finds Kratos, he explains that he wants to find the rest of the giants, but he needs to go on his own, which leads to one of the most touching parts of the story.
Remember our promise.
Loki will go. Atreus. Atreus remains.
Take care of everyone.
So Atreus may not be my favorite character, but this scene had me feeling emotional. I think it's so emotional because Kratos used to see Atreus more as a soldier rather than a son. It's just such a good story, honestly, but even though Atreus will be looking for the giants without us, we still had one more thing that I feel like we needed to do in order to wrap up the main story. So after Atreus left, we traveled to Svartalfheim to give Brock a proper send-off by sending him out to the sea and then setting the boat on fire. And after the credits rolled, we were back as Kratos when we got our 15th trophy called Funeral for a Friend.
Funeral for a Friend, nice.
Now, since I felt like I really beat the game, I didn't know what I should do in terms of what trophies I should start with, so I figured I would explore each realm to 100% completion, and eventually I would get everything. And I could go through each single thing that is needed to platinum this game, but then this video would be very long, and I'm pretty sure like no one would watch it. And if you are still watching, I really appreciate the support. Drop a like and subscribe, and I'll platinum God of War from 2018 on Give Me God of War difficulty. Also, if there's any games that you think I need a platinum, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, let's get back to the trophies. Before I left Svartalfheim, I visited Durlin after achieving his hammer, and after returning it, we got our 16th trophy, Rebel Leader.
Rebel Leader. Return the hammer of the rebellion. Nice.
Now, before we get into the juicy parts of Vanaheim, aka the crater, we made a few stops along the way. We got our 17th trophy called It Was a Good Day for getting Freya's sword Mardal and giving her closure for her awful marriage with Odin, and our 18th trophy, New Friends, for finally finding the ball that Lunda has asked about every time we've seen her. Now, heading into the crater of Vanaheim for the first time, I really didn't know what to expect, but honestly, I was not expecting dragons. But I'm not complaining about it at all. However, mentally, I wasn't prepared to fight a dragon, but to see Kratos take on a dragon gets me going. So I decided to start with all the hunts, and on the way, find the stag sword at Tasker. So far, it was a breeze walking through all the enemies just due to being super overpowered, but the travelers were super annoying to play against. They are super tanky, and I'm impatient. I wanted to go fight dragons, not big-ass dudes with big-ass shields who do weird shit like this. However, don't worry, I indeed got my wish on fighting dragons and other hunts.
This thing's walking and it's dead.
Bloody hell! Finish there, you grabby dopper!
So yeah, like I said, I got my wish. And before our last dragon fight, we got our 19th trophy called Pure of Heart for fighting all the stags of the 4 seasons.
That was not our aim.
Pure of Heart. My voice from that crap,
Job well
I swear.
done.
Yeah, I still don't know what happened to my voice there. Anyway, after our last dragon fight, we were down to our last hunt, which was to kill Drake. I was honestly sad that it was over, but we got our 20th trophy, Invasive Species.
Invasive Species.
After we finished in Vanaheim, we traveled to Alfheim. However, there wasn't much to do, but I do have to mention a few things. Cleaning up the remnants of Asgard and the Barons absolutely sucked. Honestly, they were so much harder than the Odin fight in my opinion. And rather than making you guys watch every time I died, I will just tell you, I died 37 times. This is more deaths than the 2 Valkyries I fought. Also, while I kept dying to the 2 Vanheriar, I was thinking this had to be the hardest fight in the game. However, at this time, I had no idea that Gna existed. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, after cleaning up the remnants, I got our 21st trophy called the Full Goofa for freeing the other half Goofa, which Full Goofa sounds like something you would order at a really expensive restaurant. And then soon after, we got our 22nd trophy called Full Belly for maxing out our rage. After we got our 22nd trophy, we left Alfheim to go to our next destination, Muspelheim, but I did take a pit stop to meet up with Ratatasker to chop off the lindworms that we did have, and that's when we got our 23rd trophy, Rightful Place. So once we arrived in Muspelheim, there wasn't much to do besides the trials of Muspelheim, and that was a lot of fun and pretty easy. I was tackling each trial so easy that when I accidentally discovered Gná, I thought, I could take her on, and I was wrong. I was very, very wrong.
Is this what you're talking about?
Careful, brother. You're covered in bifrost.
Oh, on accident, not on purpose. Oh, great. So even though I got destroyed on my first attempt, it only took dying 30 more times to realize that I was not ready. So instead, I went back to complete the trials. And while completing the trials, I was able to get our 24th trophy for maxing out our armor called Ready for Commitment. Then for beating the trials, we got our 25th trophy called Trials by Fire. Now, even though I beat the trials and had maxed out armor, I still knew I wasn't ready for Gná. I still had a few trophies that I needed to get, so this was perfect timing. I decided to start the trophy cleanup in Midgard, where we upgraded the Amulet of Yggdrasil for the last time, where we got our 26th trophy, How's It Going? Then after we cleared the Raider camps, we got our 27th trophy, Besties, for comforting our dogs. And lastly, in Midgard, we got our 28th trophy called the Librarian for finding all of Quasir's poems. The next realm we traveled to was Svartalheim, where we got our 29th trophy, the Curator, for collecting all of the artifacts. In the last realm requiring trophy cleanup was Niflheim. We found the last collectible flower, and then we got our 30th trophy, the Florist.
The Florist. Alright, let's see what we're at. 74%.
Now, some of you may have noticed that I haven't talked about facing any of the Berserkers at all. That's because I wanted to save them for the end of the Platinum. I'll be honest, the Berserkers were a ton of fun and not too hard, especially since I was a little overpowered. For the most part, it was pretty easy to learn the moveset after a few deaths and then be able to beat them in under 30 minutes. But of course, there was at least one fight that took even longer to beat than the time it took to beat the King Berserker, and I bet you could probably guess which Berserker fight that was. And if you guessed the Trio Berserker fight in Alfheim, well, you are correct. I spent 2 hours on this fight, and I mainly died because I would be focusing on the person in front of me and not notice the giant ball of flame that was slowly coming toward me from the side. Now, this fight made me want to throw my controller, and I have never thrown my controller, but controllers aren't cheap, so instead I just held it in. I believe we've all been here at least once, or it's just a skill issue. If I'm being honest, it's probably just a skill issue. However, in the end, I was still able to finish off the trio and the rest of the Berserkers across all of the realms, which eventually led me to the King of the Berserkers in Midgard, King Rolf. Obviously, he wasn't going to be easy, but this was definitely one of my favorite fights. His moveset was a combination of the other Berserkers' movesets that we fought already, so I kind of already knew what to look out for. Still, it took like an hour and a half, but I don't think it's that bad since I started the last Platinum stream with King Rolf, so I wasn't warmed up yet. In the end, we beheaded King Rolf and got our 31st trophy, A Grave Mistake. And even though I was happy never to face another Berserker, we still had one last boss, and that was Gná. Now, before we faced Gná, I made a stop at Lunda's to get a couple more trophies. First, we got our 32nd trophy, Phalanx, for obtaining all shields, and then our 33rd trophy, Dragon Slayer, for crafting the Dragon Scaled armor set. Now, the only thing left to do was to beat Gná, and then I would have my Platinum trophy. However, that is so much easier said than done. Let me show you my first attempt just as a reference.
Wrong one. Yeah, dead already. That, the health only did like 1 damage. Ah, damn. Well.
So that was my first attempt after beating the Berserker King. Not even my first attempt ever. Usually for newer enemies, there'd just be a slight learning curve for me to get the movement down, but Gná was like a learning hill or a learning mountain. I tried so many different amulets, armor, relics, but I still died no matter what I did.
Dude. Okay.
Even though it felt like all I could do was just die, I was still making progress and even almost killed her.
I'm dead. Just dead.
Dude, like that is the worst attack, worst move. No matter how many times I died, I was still determined to get the Platinum, but Gná felt unbeatable. I fought Gná for hours and eventually this happened.
Yeah.
Get off, man. You've got this.
Submit! Asgard's blood!
Cool. My attack does nothing. Let's go. Oh my god.
To this day, Gunnar has been the hardest boss I've ever fought. The amount of time and attempts it took was unreal, but the feeling you get when you beat something that felt impossible is unmatched. Now, after I beat Gunnar, I got our 34th trophy, the True Queen. However, I thought beating Gunnar was the last trophy I needed before the Platinum. Thanks to the power of Google and through the process of elimination, I found that I was missing a hilt that was located in Niflheim. And after picking up the last hilt, we got our 35th trophy, the Collector, and just a few seconds later, we got the final trophy, trophy number 36, the Bear and the Wolf.
The Bear and the Wolf. All right.
God of War Ragnarok gets a solid 5 stars. I was beyond impressed with this game from the main story to all of the side quests. And if you haven't played this game already, well, you're definitely missing out. If you watched to the end of the video, I really appreciate the support. Let me know in the comments about a game that I should platinum next. Also, if you have time during your very busy day, please drop a like. It helps with the algorithm, or they say it does, and go ahead and subscribe. Again, thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys next time.